Howdy, Patriots. Segment 228 today. Filibuster and Save America Act is my title. Not many people in the country know this because, for whatever reason, they're not really interested in politics, and it's understandable. Politics is a dirty game, and I don't like it myself. But not very many people are know what the actual filibuster is or how it is used. A filibuster is used primarily to block a vote on a bill. The person doing the filibuster, and this is the part that people probably don't understand or don't get, even if they know what that a filibuster is used to block a bill. When a person is filibustering, they can't leave the Senate chamber or the House chamber for any reason, not even to go take a dump. They either bring in an porta potty or a 5 gallon bucket or something, but they don't leave the chamber. And no one in the Senate or the House can leave. They can't go home. They have to stay there until the filibuster is over because they have to either change hands or whatever the case may be. And I'm going to be playing a video by Glenn Beck, and he'll explain it as well. But they have to remain in office until the end of the filibuster. And this is one of the issues that they're having. And I'll explain further. The longest filibuster in recent history was set by Rand Paul. I believe it was in 2013. I forgot to put the date. Memory serves me correctly. It was 2013 when he filibustered the danger of drone strikes on Americans. The longest filibuster in U.S. history was by Democrat Strom Thurmond in 1957 that lasted 24 hours and 18 minutes. You know what he was filibustering about? The Civil Rights Act of 1957. Democrats, or for all the people, right? Yeah, so longest filibuster in U.S. history. And so Strom Thurmond was in the chamber. He did not go to get something to eat. He had his food brought to him. He didn't go take a piss. He had to do it there. And Congress had to remain open during that time. But see, they don't want to get rid of the filibuster because then they wouldn't have an excuse to not get bills through Congress. Yet they don't want to use the filibuster for what the founders envisioned it to be or how to use it. Chuck the shithead Schumer says, I'm filibustering that bill. In this case, the SAVE Act, and that's all that's happening. So a representative says, I'm filibustering, and so that's stopping the bill. Chucky hasn't gone on the floor and gave a speech for even an hour to filibuster it. But this is shit that they're getting away with in Congress. They're lazy, they're corrupt, and they're holding the country hostage. So let me play this clip for you from Glenn Beck, and he will talk some more about it.
You know why they're really not passing this? This is the God's honest truth. This is why they're not passing it. I think some of them know that, where their bread is buttered, and they need to keep this loosey goosey. So maybe they benefit from a few votes that come their way. I think that's a possibility. But I really think the reason why they won't send is because it's too much work. I honestly believe it is because they are too damn lazy. Because here's what the standing filibuster requires. it requires that they keep the session going, which means you have to have a quorum, you have to have enough Republicans and Democrats in the Senate, the well of the Senate, 24 hours a day while this is going on. If you don't, then it ends the legislative day. And so then you're screwed. You have to keep the filibuster going and never end the legislative day, even if it goes for 60 days. You have to be there. People have to be manning that place 24/7. That means the senators are not going to go home. They're not going to have weekends. They're not going to be able to fly back to their constituents and their families and their fundraisers and everything else. That means they're going to be locked in 24 hours a day, and somebody has to be there. It's going to take a lot of work for the management of the Republicans. Hey, who's on duty? When are you going to be there? When am I going to be there? Who's next? It's going to take management, and it's going to take people with stamina and people who actually believe in something. And I honestly don't think there's enough senators in Washington, D.C. that actually believe in the Constitution. This Save America Act is the most apt name bill I have heard in a long time. The Patriot Act wasn't patriotic. It wasn't. The Inflation Reduction Act had nothing to do with reducing inflation. The Save America Act does. You secure the vote and you can save America. You don't secure the vote, you don't have a country left because no one will believe the elections. This wasn't a problem when I was a kid. And we also never ever heard, well, we may not know the election results for a week. We never heard that. I never heard that. You voted, we counted, we got the total, sometimes in the middle of the night or the next morning, but we knew. Now we don't. How is it we can secure our financial transactions? How is it you can secure billions of dollars online, moving from bank to bank, country to country? You can do that every day, but we somehow or another cannot secure our own vote. Wow, that doesn't seem logical to me. You know why? Because it's not logical. It's a giant game. And the Senate has to pass it. Stop with all these lies about how it's going to change the filibuster. No, it's not. No, it's not. It is the Mr. Smith Goes to Washington that we've all seen growing up. That's the actual filibuster. What you did was you changed the filibuster to where nobody has to stand up, nobody has to say anything. Somebody just has to text, I think I'm going to filibuster this. And then it goes through and everybody's like, okay, we got to table that until we get 60 votes to open it back up. That's not a filibuster. That's a hijacking of the system. Call your senators. This fight is not over, and it's the most important fight to save the republic. You know why they're really not passing this? This is the...
We've been duped, people. We've been duped. Our lame-ass Congress has been duping us all these years. I mean, he's right about the voting and the results. Up until 26 or 27 years ago, we counted ballots by hand. And we got it done faster. Apparently, we're getting it done faster than using the Chinese vote tabulating and voting machines with the Venezuelan software that are in them. That makes no sense. And these machines, by the way, that they continue to fight for, well, we know why they're fighting for them. Because they're being manipulated to cheat in the elections. We have auditors across the country, and the majority of them in this state, I will say the majority of them in this state have been bitching that it takes too long to do hand counts. Cry me a flipping river. People that help out during elections, if you're not aware, check with your counties. I dare you. Check with you. I don't know if it's the same in every state, but I can tell you in this state, anybody that works during an election, if they don't want to volunteer, they can make up to at least $25 an hour working for an election. And so I don't, if it takes you 12 hours, you do the math. I'm not going to get out the calculator. 12 times 25. That's a pretty, to me, that's a pretty good paycheck for half a day's work. But the auditors are complaining. It just takes too long. Takes too long to do a hand count. Our Secretary of State, especially Secretary of States, especially this one here, Monet Johnson, says and has, again, our auditors convinced that the machines aren't connected to the internet. Well, that's bullshit too. It has been proven time and time again that they are connected to the internet, and those slimy little Venezuelans, the 3 engineers that created the software, made it possible for the slimy Venezuelans to sit and manipulate our elections, the numbers in the elections. We need to go back to hand counting. We need to get rid of the machines. Not only are they unsecure, they're expensive. On average, they cost around $3,500 and more, depends on the machine you have, every year to have. And you're going to pay that, your county is going to pay that $3,500 per machine every year, regardless of whether you use them or not. And that doesn't include the cost of maintenance on them. Enough on that. Now the Save America Act. What does that tell us? What is this? What is our Congress? What is our criminals in Congress telling us that they don't want to approve a bill that when somebody goes out and before they go out and vote, they have to actually prove that they're a citizen of this country and they have to present a valid ID prior to voting. What does that tell us? That tells us a lot. That tells us a lot. The Dems spout their bullshit about this every election cycle, or every time the voter ID, the mention of a voter ID comes up. Oh my God, that's racist. You guys, I mean, they really think about the black community. They think the black communities, or Hispanic, or whoever they want to cite at any given time, are basically telling those communities how stupid they are. Yeah, you guys can't get IDs, so yeah, the Republicans want you to have IDs to vote. Yet, at the same time, I mean, I can go through the whole list, but I'm not going to. If you go on a plane, you gotta have an ID. If you go into a government facility, a government building, you better have your ID with you. If you don't, you're not going to be going anywhere within that government building. Again, I'm not going to go through the whole list. You need an ID for a lot of damn things that you need to do in this country. But the Democrats and some rhinos don't think it's necessary. They don't think it's necessary. And why? I mean, it's obvious. It's obvious why they don't. Because they want illegal citizens to cast votes for them. They want to bus them to the polling stations, the illegals. And I'm not saying every illegal votes. A lot of them don't. But they want to bus them to the voting station and harvest their illegal vote. Hell, we had a bill in our legislative session this year in South Dakota. Same bill, same type of bill. You have to be a legal citizen to vote in a South Dakota election. Now, it got passed. The news media, South Dakota news media, are touting and praising our legislators for getting it passed. What they don't tell you is that it barely passed. What they don't tell you is the hurdles it took for it to pass. That's what they don't tell you. And this is with an overwhelming GOP majority in the state. And it almost didn't pass. I was sending a lot of emails to our legislators. But what does that tell you? Even the GOP has issues with that. In 1994, Newt Gingrich, whether you agree with him or not, whether you like him or not, that's irrelevant. He introduced, if you remember, a bill or a plan called the Contract with America. It was a plan that had 10 bills in it that became very unpopular from the onset. Democrats were crying crocodile tears. But he said, we're going to get this passed no matter what it takes. If I have to keep introducing this every day, we're going to get it passed. Now, in hindsight, some of the bills that were passed weren't passed. One of them being term limits. That was in there. But the point of the matter is, or was, that he controlled the House masterfully. And he got it passed. And when it got passed, it propelled the GOP for the first time in 40 years to take over the House. And then he became Speaker Gingrich. But Thune, what an embarrassment. I even hate to call him our senator. Thune, the McConnell puppet, the deep state asshole. He will never be a Newt Gingrich. Never. He's created his legacy. It's set in stone now. He is going to be, between him and McConnell, and on the GOP side, Democrats, of course, by far the worst ever. But between him and McConnell right now, the recent leaders of the Senate, I don't know which one's worse, and that's because they go hand in hand. He really doesn't want to pass mega legislation. Least amount of bills in Senate history last year, 2025, that got passed. I think it was like 35 or 38 bills. Least amount ever. The GOP would rather turn, and I've said this before too, the GOP would rather turn the House and Senate back over to the Dems. That way they can sit back, fill their piggy banks, get their money from their lobbyists, their millions or whatever, and then they can sit there and pretend and put on their theatrics and pretend that they're pissed off at what the Dems are doing. Now, I did recently see an article, believe it was yesterday, I did see an article that Thune supposedly said he's going to put the Save America Act up for a vote. Okay. But then he goes on to say, don't expect it to pass. You know, it may take a miracle. He's been sitting on this damn bill for at least a year. Doesn't even want to put it up for a vote. Yeah, he's supposedly counting his votes. Oh no, I just don't. I don't know what's wrong. I just don't have the votes. I can't put it up. I can't put it up for a vote. I don't have it. The votes just aren't there. Put it up for a vote and flush out the dickheads that don't want it to pass. Then keep putting it up for a vote each and every day until it does pass. What's so difficult about that? I know. You could give a shit less about this country. Disgust me. Truly disgust me. In reality, again, as I said, these people they're holding this country hostage for whatever reason. I'll leave this for you to ponder. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3 of the Constitution says that we, the people, have the right to alter or abolish it, meaning Congress. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3 of the Constitution says that we, the people, have the right to alter or abolish it. Not overthrow it. Doesn't say anything about overthrowing it, but abolishing it. And that ties in with the video that I did quite some time ago about removing the legislative branch and how it can be done. We'll see what happens. We'll see if Thune grows a pair. We'll see who gets flushed out. I mean, more than likely, you're going to have McConnell, if he even knows what he's voting for. You're going to have Murkowski. You're going to have Tillis. You're going to have Collins that probably aren't going to vote for it. But that's fine. Like I said, put it up for a vote every damn day until they get it done. Anyway, that's all I got. If you see this sign, people, this is the international sign for distress. If you see somebody doing this, try to assist them safely if you can. It may make a difference. You may save a life. See what happens tomorrow, people. It's an ongoing saga to save this country. Have a good one.